The message I can give you is, we are not doing well. We're doing badly. And the message is, the situation is no good. Let me take you through a journey here, which is a journey which tries to pick up on what Dani said and what Carolina said, that we are on a path of learning. And I want to start this very much with what Dani and also Carolina said in a very personal way, and what also the blessings we're trying to do, also in a very personal way, in a much more structural way and a very policy way. And that has to do with that what we are doing here is we are standing and working and meeting on a ground and a land of people who have been here much long before us. And the reason why I want to take you on this notion of acknowledging where we are has to do with what is the challenge in terms of transformation which we need to do in our own way of doing things, in our own way of looking at things, in our way in which we are tracked to go into one direction, although we need to know that we have to go into a different direction. We are on the land of the Mapuche, and that is a land which has been inherited for more than thousands of years. And I want to give you this also from the experience that we know that we are here in the southernmost part of the Americas, and I want to take you to the experience to the most northern part of Americas, to Canada, where the notion of knowing where you are standing has been transformed from being an immigrant country, from a country which has to be conquered, which a country which has to be traversed, which a country which has to be exploited, to a notion that one starts to realize that we have had a conquering which lost us the way of interacting with nature in a way that we see that this is sustainable. The land of the Mapuche extended much beyond what we are here in the Los Lagos region. But I think that the most important thing is that you realize that this land is a land which has been not only been inherited, but it had been cared for. It had been cared for in a way which we, who are the children of the Industrial Revolution, we are the children of the Enlightenment, we are the children of the digital revolution, which we have to regain. This is something where we have to relearn our ways. And that is that we are not just treating it as folklore, we are not just treating it as some culture which is lost and which is in the past, but that this is something where we have to transform ourselves into the future. And I will tell you, the reason why we have to transform it into the future is because of these cubes which you see here to the left or the right. These are the Sustainable Development Goals. And they are the measure which was taken by 2015 by the General Assembly of the United Nations unanimously to say that we need to have measured ways of transforming this world into a different way of doing things. And as I will tell you later on, we are not doing well. And Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Secretary General, said we are actually on the wrong track. We are reversing. And that is something which we need to look. Let me read to you what from Canada one would look at in terms of a land acknowledgement. And you can see here the text. And the text I want to read out to you is, as we gather here, respectfully acknowledge that we are situated on traditional territory of the Mapuche people. I am grateful to be here. I hope you are too. Together we honor the indigenous people for their cultures, languages, and the wise teachings and ways of being, their stewardship and protection of lands and waters and life that have shaped this country since the time began. Together we commit to acknowledge, to learn, to educate, to create opportunity, and to honor sacred places and to take actions towards truth and reconciliation in support of our commitment, wellness for all, and to walking the path together in respect, peace, harmony for future generations. Mikwish, that's the Indian way of saying thank you. This is a way of looking at what a land acknowledgement, something which I spoke now, actually entails. It entails that we are on a path of learning, that we are looking at what is the purpose of what we want to do, that we are respecting nature and each other, that we are moving into understanding, and that we are truthful to each other about the conflicts which we have in terms of interests, identity, and ideology. And to be truthful means that you are not afraid to speak up, but you do so in a respectful manner. That you are decided to use nonviolence and not use prejudice and also discrimination to get your point across. And that you are looking at this in terms of trying to get a deeper understanding of where we need to go. Here in this room, you are a unique assembly of people. You are a unique assembly of people from all around the world, and you are a truly global community. Some people who are coming together on a learning journey. WSA has done this for the last 21, 22 years. It has brought together a global community at the very beginning to teach and engage with 10,000 people who are coming to United Nations global conferences. We have been in every different kind of continent, and we have had the privilege to welcome almost 15,000 nominations from national experts in up to 182 countries. That is a unique opportunity to learn. This year we had 466 nominations from 90 countries, and those who are the winners here are the selected few because they are best practices in terms of using technology for a positive social impact. You are the people who are not the biggest money makers. You are not running after the most successful VCs, but you are those who use global technologies to do something very specific, very concrete in terms of the transformation of your local community. And I invite you to think about yourself as not just adding on something to what is, but that you and we and all of us have to work on how to get on a different track, a different way, different perspective, and also to do things more differently than what we have done so far. The Nobel nominations are from all continents, and especially I think it's important that we have a learning from the south to the south, from Africa to Latin America, from Southeast Asia to Latin America, to the south of Latin America, and that's the reason why I'm very grateful that also you are here, Jaish Rajan, from India, because it is this kind of connection which is so important for WSA as well. The WSA journey is a journey which is completed today, but today and tomorrow are the beginning of a new journey. It's a journey in terms of the networking. It's a journey in terms of reaping, on the one hand, the benefits of what you have already done, to show it to the local community and to engage also with the entrepreneurial scene here in Los Lagos, in Puerto Varas, in Puerto Montt, here in Frutillar, and to engage in this in terms of scaling your solutions, your ingenuity in a new way through the learning which you are having in the exchange with others. WSA is an invitation to switch perspectives. And I come back to this, what I said at the very beginning with the land acknowledgement. If you look at it from a different way, if you look at nature in a different way, you see how we have to do things differently, how mining has to be done differently, how fisheries have to be done differently, how mobility has to be done differently, how we have to change our energy systems, how we have to change also the kind of food supplies and the way we grow things, how we are doing differently in terms of the logging industry. There is no area which is excluded, no area which needs not to be transformed, because it is a systemic change which we need. A systemic change which we need because we are spoiling our waters. We are spoiling and reaping and raping nature. We are doing things to our cities which make these cities uninhabitable. There are heat zones in such a way that you will see an increase, not just in terms of the suffering of people, but in terms of the death rates, in terms of the reduced mortality rate, in terms of older people, and we will see this increasingly the case. I don't have to tell you about the effects which El Nino has here in this country. I'm coming from Europe. When we traveled last week, it was the hottest month on record in terms of what we had. And this is affecting our social cohesion. It is affecting the way we are doing things. And we need to really work on using technology not for fake news and for spreading disinformation, but we are looking at how to do things much, much better. Therefore, entrepreneurship is not something where we scale by money. We need to scale by ingenuity in addressing the key issues of our times. We need to scale by the key issues in terms of not just connecting an idea with the funding opportunities, but we need to connect ideas and learn from the impact. We need to do much more than just being smart. We need to be grounded, and we need to switch the perspectives. That is the challenge of WSA to you. You are entering a community of people who are not just familiar and caring, but they are also determined to do that kind of switching. We have related from the very beginning to the goals of transforming through digital technologies the information society into a knowledge society. We are linking up to the UN SDGs, and we do so in the 8 categories of WSA. Last year, there was midterm in terms of the SDGs, and let me close by giving you that kind of perspective. When the report came out in April of last year, it's exactly a year ago, it was clear that the world is not just not doing well, but only 12% of the SDGs, of the 176 indicators which lie behind the 17 SDGs, that only 12 of them are on track. More are not just doing well, but they are so weak that developments have gone in reverse, especially when it comes to poverty, hunger, and climate. This situation is a positive situation in terms of the goals, but when we look at what we achieve, then Antonio Guterres is saying that hunger has increased, gender equality will be achieved 300 years from now, we have inequalities as a record high, 26 people around the world have as much wealth as half of the entire population. So 4 billion people have as much wealth as 26. The war on nature is accelerating. The extinction rate is increasing. This is what I said. I have bad news for us unless we are retracking unless we are moving in a different kind of direction. And we need to use the opportunity of gathering here to switch those tracks. Let me say, these are 3 days of learning, 3 days of learning from each other, and I welcome your spirit, your engagement, and your determination to do better than what we have done so far. Thank you for joining WCA Global Congress.